Hello, everybody. Welcome back for the second segment of the August 18th Trips and Traps. Andy Serling, Eric Donovan.
3 more races to bring you, all turf races and actually 2 maiden races, 1 allowance race sandwiched in between. We'll take a look at a maiden race for 2-year-olds here. The first thing we want to take a look at is the 6th, Eben Alsafa, a first-time starter who dwelt at the start.
Yeah, it's funny. We were just talking to Roy, the starter here, and basically he's a horse that they'd worked on to get him to come out of the gate, but you just never know, and he'd been breaking well, and this time he did not break at all. Thought he ran a little bit afterwards, but these are tricky horses to deal with.
Indeed, and we get to the turn here and slow it down a little bit and stop it just to give you a chance to see where everyone is here that we're taking a look at. The 10 on the outside is Dullahan. We have circled there. We'll come back to the middle of the pack, and we'll take a look at Patrice Moon, a first-time starter in Philly against boys from the Patrice Marion, for Todd Pletcher Barn. And Actuarial's there, and of course Eben Alsafa back off the screen, who will kind of get into contact with the field a little bit here as they move into the turn. Yeah,
I think the one thing to remember with Eben Alsafa is watch when they hit come in the stretch, because he actually is trying to make a little bit of a run at the race, and he'll end up getting buffeted between horses and has no chance. And one thing that seems to be a recurring theme in these 2-year-old turf routes, and it's not that surprising, is speed is a very precious commodity. These horses, they lack experience, and it's a long race, and in general, you don't get particularly rapid paces, and the speed just seems to hold up race after race in here. And that's something I think when we get to Belmont Park, especially when you get to the one-turn races, and they may not have the same dynamic. But I still think the second finisher, Dullahan, is just a green horse that's still trying to figure out how to run, and he is better than these horses.
Yeah, I mean, just basically based off the pace, it's hard to make an excuse for him, to not win this race. The one horse is the winner of this race, Tiz Sardonic Joe, who had a couple of starts in sprint races for trainer Mike Maker, was a trainer for Steve Asmussen for this race. There's Dullahan toward the outside, and we'll go back to take a look at the other 2 horses toward the back there, the 8 Patrice Moon and the 9 Actuarial, and we'll run it here and.
Well, listen, you got a little bit of steadying for Actuarial, and he does a smidgen of running there. And Patrice Marion is outside of horses and makes that wide run. But the truth is that Patrice Marion is in the clear, and that helps her a lot. She may be okay, but we'll see. And Actuarial is inside, never gets out in the clear. You haven't quite gotten the 6. You'll see in those Shadwell Silks. But for my money, Dullahan is a horse who there comes Eben Alsafa in the back of the pack. Dullahan is just a green horse. I know he had a couple starts, but you see as the leader draws off in the stretch and opens up, and at this point you don't really know what Dullahan's going to do, and it's not Kent Desormo's fault. He's just dropping back kind of lazily here, and even at the end he's kind of running along lazily, and you get the feeling like he's a horse that when he figures out how to put it all together, he would just run by these horses. He never would have done that. I just think it's a young 2-year-old. Now the other horse we're talking about are all first-time stars, and obviously Patrice Marion is doing a bit of running at the end, and no knock on her. She'll probably win her next race against fillies and pay about $340. And I don't know about Actuarial. Who knows, a first-time starter. I didn't. The trouble mattered that much. Eben Alsafa is a difficult horse because it's always a little scary to bet on horses that dwell like that because they can do it again. There's nothing you can do to stop him. I tell you one thing, though, he does it again, you won't see him for a long time because they can't really let him run in those situations. But I still think there's a possibility that horse can run a little bit.
Yeah, it's always a tricky read because a horse like that, especially one of the trails throughout there in a race that was one wire to wire, you got to give him another chance almost, but you just don't know how good the horse is.
Right. Let's move on to the second race, or we'll run out of time.
Second race is a non-winners of 1 allowance optional claimer for 3-year-olds and up, going a mile on the turf in here. And this race had a horse in here, the 8 Gantry, who was a horse that set the track record at 6 furlongs down at Belmont and was misridden here.
Yeah, I mean, this is a horse that has extreme speed, and it's just that grab coming out of the gate. I mean, so Kent Desormo takes it, or no, I'm sorry, not Kent Desormo, Cornelio Velasquez takes advantage of everybody else grabbing their horses. And what is the plan with Gantry, a horse who never is given a chance whatsoever? And all the closers are compromised, save perhaps Unaccountable, who actually did not get his usual 100% perfect trip. He might have only got like a 98% trip.
There's Gantry toward the outside, going in about the 5 or 6 path of the horse that you would think would be no worse than sitting second off the leader.
Oh, no, he should have been in front. He's so much faster than these horses. It's ridiculous. Now, to be fair, Ryan Cortolo has shown that he's a talented rider, and he's a young rider, and he has a real future. But he has no experience in these mile turf races. On Saratoga, he had an injury. He missed the first couple weeks of the meet. So he's just sort of learning how to ride them, and he's a smart, good rider, and I imagine the next time he rides in one of these races, he'll have a better understanding of what he needs to do. But what you need to do in these mile turf races is have a plan coming out of the gate. If you have a speed horse, you've got to go, because you get the position, you might be able to slow it up. I know it's easier sitting here, but Gantry is a horse that set a track record at 6 furlongs. He was sitting a little off the pace that day. He beat a horse here who came back with an explosive performance. He's a good horse. He deserved a better trip.
And now he's making a move on the outside there, and making a premature move down the backstretch. Well, this is where he should have been in the front of the pack here, and a couple of horses should have been in that spot behind him there. But Gantry goes 3 wide into the turn here, unaccountable down toward the inside, break up the game, and Zoto toward the back of the pack in the black and purple.
Yeah, and I thought that it was a good ride by Alex Solis because he makes the move here. It's a slow pace with Zoto, and he gets in the game, break up the game. The rider's more patient, Johnny Velasquez, and it works out fairly well for him, all things considered. He knows he's between a rock and a hard place. As usual, there's unaccountable on the inside, getting that great trip. And one of the reasons we're joking about him, he gets such good trips, is he has enough tactical speed that he's not badly compromised by the pace. If everything worked out, he might have won. But if you had a very fast pace here, who knows what Gantry could have done? We don't know if he can go a mile or not. He may not be able to go a mile. There's nothing learned about him from this race, other than the fact that he had an impossible trip. The other horses break up the game, makes a nice run down the inside. Zoto doesn't lose a lot of ground. He angles out in the stretch. He was 2 to 3 wide in the turn. They do a decent job of closing into a race that had absolutely no pace and was won wire to wire by a talented horse.
And even the third horse in the race, the 9-horse Bergerac, was a horse that was stretching out off a career of basically turf sprints that sat second the whole way and didn't really look like much on paper, but was able to hold on for third.
Right, and that's a very, very good point in there. And the fact that Bergerac breaks outside of Gantry and they're together at the start, and his rider just sort of lazily lets him go off. He gets in the 2-path while Gantry's out in no man's land. I don't know what to glean from this race, but I don't want the speeds. I want the closers more than anything else. We need to move on.
All right, we'll get to the last race here on Trips and Traps, a maiden special weight for 2-year-olds going a mile and a 16th on the turf. We're going to take a look early on here. The 3 and the 4, Remarkable Moon and Coasting, will get into some trouble at the gate.
Yeah, they'll have some trouble to start. And once again, you've got a 2-year-old maiden turf race that's one wire to wire, and they run 1-2 around the racetrack. And Bargain Blitz horse I tried in this race, and he had no real excuse. The winner, Welcome Dance, a long shot for trainer Mike Matz, who's just having a lot of luck with his 2-year-olds, or luck, or not really luck. And funny, he's got a Dynaformer Dam and a Henny Hughes sire, but this horse runs pretty well.
Does indeed, and we'll take a look at the 2 horses there that are highlighted right now, and that's Coasting, and of course the 3 Remarkable Moon to the back. It was Cat Girl and Disposable Treasure up front a little bit there, and we'll move it on to the turn here, and we'll see as they set up, and obviously the 7-horse getting to the lead here, Welcome Dance, and toward the outside, Bargain Blitz. They're going to set up running 1-2. It's just hard to make up ground, and we see these horses toward the back of the pack here. They're leaving themselves with 5+ lengths to make up.
Yeah, there's no way of knowing if Remarkable Moon or Coasting can run at all, because they just were compromised a little bit at the start, and they never did any running. I don't have an opinion on them one way or the other. It's interesting with the 2 Todd Pletcher horses. You've got the favorite, the 9 to 5 Wait Till Dawn, the 5, and he'll make a move in the backstretch to get in contention, and then or she will, and then sort of drops back a little bit, comes to the end. Right behind her is the 2, her uncoupled stablemate, Disposable Pleasure, another Todd Pletcher horse. Both these horses get very sweet ground-travang trips, sort of behind each other. I don't know, Disposable Treasure is the one sort of angles out in the stretch. They did a little bit of running. I don't have any strong opinion these horses are going to be that good going forward. If anything, I'd be looking to see if Remarkable Moon, who had some breeding and Coasting, a Shug McGahee first-time starter, I'd be sort of interested to see where they show up next time, because they just never had any chance the way this race was run.
You'd have to figure that they're going to improve in here. They're toward the back of the pack, a little bit blocked there by the tree. And, one thing we'll take out of this race is the 5 Wait Till Dawn. This horse is likely to be bet again next time. I'm not sure how good she is. I actually think the stablemate might have run a little bit better in here.
Yeah, I have no argument with that. The stablemate was behind her. As she drifts back, she drifts the stablemate back. It's shuffling horses back, and people, it doesn't have to be contact. Sometimes it's just sort of an inertia thing. Now, Disposable Pleasure will angle out, and you see trying to find room there between horses. And you're right, Wait Till Dawn is down on the rail. She runs in spots. We're not giving up on her, but I don't disagree, Eric. I think that Wait Till Dawn may be the kind of horse that burns some money in the future. I'm just not sure how good she is. Disposable Pleasure might be the better of the 2. It'll be interesting to see where all these horses show up. Cat Girl in the Dogwood Silks is the one outside of her.
Yeah, and I think I think these horses will improve. The ones that tried to come from off the pace, and there's Cat Girl finishing up in 5th spot there. But I think all the horses that try to close will turn out to be a little bit better with maybe some more experience, and maybe a shift down to racing at Belmont, where they'll get to just a different kind of scenario.
And we've run out of time. Once again, Trips and Traps at NYRAInc.com. Hopefully you can help us a little bit in the future, and we'll see you at least in a week or 2 here at Saratoga.
Thanks for watching.